Tonight on One News. The Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board moves to amend the routes of provincial buses traveling along EDSA. The Social Security System and PAG-IBIG vow to enhance digital platforms for faster service. The Land Bank of the Philippines vows to submit its plans for the agriculture sector following President Duterte's threat of abolishment if it fails to serve its purpose. The Office of the Solicitor General admits it helped in preparing the sedition complaint filed against Vice President Leni Robredo and 34 others. And Manila Mayor Isko Moreno conducts surprise inspection in Quiapo during wee hours. Good evening. The Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board amends the routes of provincial buses that traverse EDSA. The LTFRB says the amendment of routes complements the planned closure of 47 bus terminals in the entire stretch of EDSA. Joanano tells us why.
Despite the pending petitions urging the Supreme Court to block the proposed implementation of the provincial bus ban in EDSA, the Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board, or LTFRB, has issued a memorandum circular amending the routes of several provincial buses. Under LTFRB Memorandum Circular 2019-31, provincial buses coming from the north should unload their passengers in the Valenzuela Interim Terminal instead of their respective terminals in Cubao, Quezon City. On the other hand, buses coming from South Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao with terminals in Cubao should unload their passengers in the Santa Rosa Laguna Interim Terminal. But if their terminal is located in EDSA Pasay City, provincial buses should end in the Parañaque Integrated Terminal Exchange, or PITX. The circular provides window hours for affected buses to be determined by the Metropolitan Manila Development Authority, or MMDA. Fares will also be adjusted depending on the distance of travel, as the routes are either extended or shortened. In a message, the LTFRB says the amendment of route complement the planned closure of 47 bus terminals in the entire stretch of EDSA. The MMDA welcomes the LTFRB's order, saying this will be included in their agenda during Thursday's Metro Manila Council. The agency targets to enforce the order by August.
This is the one we've been waiting for, the guidelines that will set the way for the implementation of bus terminal closures on EDSA. Kasi we cannot close it without any alternatives. So ito na yun.
The UNTV news team tried to get a reaction from the president of the Provincial Bus Association of the Philippines on the matter, but he is yet to give his comment. Several lawmakers have filed their petition before the Supreme Court against the provincial bus ban in EDSA, including Albay Representative Joey Salceda and representative from Ako Bicol Party List and the Makabayan Bloc. Joanano, UNTV News and Rescue, Pasay City.
Motorcycle ride-hailing service Angkas decries foul over the ban of small motorcycles on the Osmeña Highway, which began last Monday. The ban includes sub-400cc model motorcycles. The Skyway Corporation initiated the new traffic regulation. Angkas head for Regulatory and Public Affairs George Royesa calls the ban not only anti-motorcycle rider but also anti-poor. The group argues that a lot of riders and passengers will be inconvenienced since they have to divert to Pasong Tamo Extension instead of heading straight to Osmeña Highway just to get to their destinations in Manila, Makati, and Pasay cities, which means they will incur more transportation expenses. The Skyway Corporation has earlier explained that the ban on small motorcycles is just to prevent further accidents involving motorcycles that usually happen on Osmeña Highway. The Social Security System and PAG-IBIG Fund gear towards the digitalization of most of their services as they respond to the call of President Rodrigo Duterte during his State of the Nation address on Monday. Harleen Delgado will tell us why.
The Social Security System, or SSS, and the Home Development Mutual Fund, or PAG-IBIG Fund, admit they must improve their services. This after President Rodrigo Duterte called out the two agencies, along with the Land Transportation Office, or LTO, Bureau of Internal Revenue, or BIR, and the Land Registration Authority, or LRA, during his State of the Nation address, or SONA, on Monday for having the most complaints from the public. According to SSS spokesperson Attorney Voltaire Angkas, it is unavoidable to receive complaints from their members as they process more than 200,000 transactions every day. However, Angkas reports the number of complaints went down from over 10,000 in 2017 to 6,000 in 2018. As part of the solution, the SSS say they will enhance their digital platforms to make their services faster and to serve more people.
Dito sa mga digital platform nito, dito matutugunan yung sinabi ni President na we should be able to transact our business with them without those members or employers, pensioner coming to the office physically.
Currently, the SSS has various electronic channels, including My SSS website portal on which applicants can get their temporary SS numbers, SSS mobile application through which members can check their monthly contributions, self-service information terminals, and social media accounts. We asked Melvin, who was waiting for his turn at the East Center of the SSS main office in Quezon City. For him, it was easier to remit their employees' contribution with the online access of Payment Reference Number or PRN.
Mas convenient po kasi napabilis nila yung transaction. Dati, manual. So, medyo may kabagalan kasi susulat pa. So ngayon, pag may hawak ang PRN, dire-diretso na yung transaction.
But Emma, who was processing the death claim for her deceased husband, has a different case. With her age, she says she prefers the traditional way of processing rather than online.
Mas prepare ko pa rin yung ganito. Kasi masarap din naman yung kumikilos ka, ikaw nag-iintindi ng pinapalo up mo kaysa yung online. Saka alam mo na, matanda na ako, medyo mahina ako dyan.
The SSS add they will put up 33 more e-centers across the country by 2020. The agency appealed to the public to update their accounts from time to time to avoid long queues and going back to the SSS office due to incomplete requirements.
Consistently po sana ina-update nila yung mga records sa amin.
Meanwhile, the PAG-IBIG Fund has also responded to the President's call. In a Facebook post, the agency says almost 99% of the complaints they have received in the past 2 years have been resolved already. However, they have found out that 50% of the calls received were not complaints but inquiries or requests for assistance. Most of the complaints, PAG-IBIG says, are about delays in loan processing due to the transfer of data to their new system. The agency plans to establish virtual centers across the country to improve its services. The LTO yesterday said they are planning for the full computerization of their system to further shorten processing time. The UNTV News and Rescue team is still waiting for the response of the BIR and the LRA, the two other agencies called out by the President. Harleen Delgado, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
The Land Bank of the Philippines vows to abide by the directive of President Rodrigo Duterte after the government-owned bank was mentioned by the President in his State of the Nation address. Here's Ray Palayo to tell us why.
The Land Bank of the Philippines, or LBP, is now crafting its report to be submitted to President Rodrigo Duterte before the end of July. Last Monday, the President mentioned Land Bank in his State of the Nation address and instructed the institution to do some reform. The LBP is a bank owned by the Philippine government with a special focus on serving the needs of farmers and fishermen.
You're called Land Bank, but you are now the #1 commercial bank in the Philippines. What the heck is happening to you? You are supposed to finance agricultural enterprises and endeavors. Bakit wala? Why can't you just buy a few wagons or whatever, go to the countryside and ask the people if there are cooperatives, tulungan ninyo to form one.
President warns the LBP that he might ask Congress to abolish the bank if they fail to provide more programs for Filipino farmers.
I'm asking now Congress if there is no viable plan for that, for the farmer, and it is just all commercial transaction, might as well abolish it.
In a statement, the LBP said that it will be strengthening its partnership with cooperatives, farmers groups and associations, as well as collaborations with other key agencies and government units. It will also remain steadfast in pursuing its mandate of helping small farmers and fishermen and the entire agricultural sector. The Department of Finance said that 22% of the 800 billion peso portfolio of the LBP already loaned by the agricultural sector. The bank also has consultation with the central bank on some technicalities to comply with the President's order.
You're really not supposed to be invested more than 20% in any sector. Kaya po, Land Bank wants to do more, but they have to do this in consultation with the Bangko Sentral. Kasi nasa 22% na po sila ng kanilang loan portfolio na naka-invest sa agriculture.
Finance Assistant Secretary Tony Lambino said that Land Bank also caters the distribution of money for the Pantawid Pamilyang Pilipino program. The official added that there should also be reform in the land titling system facilitated by the Department of Agrarian Reform, particularly the Certificate of Land Ownership Award or CLOA. A land title can be used as collateral for loan.
Sabihin po niyan, kung gusto ko pong umutang at kasama ko po ang mga kasamahan natin dito sa table sa CLOA, ay lahat po sila kailangan din pumirma para ako makautang. Hindi ho simple at streamlined ang sistema pag gano'n.
Lambino said that it is risky if the bank's programs only focuses on one sector.
Kung kasi magre-risk tayo dito sa isang lugar lamang at sa isang crop, for instance, at hindi natin i-diversify yung risk natin sa ibang sektor at industriya. Pag may mangyari dito sa isang sector or industry, ay wipe out tayo, no? Hindi ho safe at prudent ang ganung approach.
The Land Bank of the Philippines was established in 1963 through Republic Act 3844 or the Agricultural Land Reform Code. Ray Pilayo, UNTV, News and Rescue, Quezon City.
President Rodrigo Duterte has mentioned his priority legislative agenda for the 3 remaining years of his term. This includes the remaining packages for the Comprehensive Tax Reform Program, new version of Salary Standardization Law, which includes the salary increase of teachers and nurses, right-sizing of the national government, new version of bill that will create trust fund for coconut farmers, National Defense Act, Unified Personnel Separation, Retirement and Pension Bill, mandatory ROTC in grades 11 and 12, bills that will address water shortage and intensify fire protection, creation of the Department of Disaster, Resilience and National Land Use Act. Cabinet Secretary Carlo Nograles said the Chief Executive will convene the Legislative Executive Development Council or LEDAC soon. This is to push the administration's legislative agenda. But before this, the Chief Executive will let the House of Representatives and Senate fully elect their seats of officials. Manila Mayor Isko Moreno continues his rounds of inspections in various areas in the city, even during the wee hours. Let's find out why from Asher Cadapan Jr.
Manila City Mayor Isko Moreno Dumagoso conducted another random inspection in areas under his jurisdiction at past Wednesday midnight. He also intended to visit Hospital ng Maynila Medical Center in Malate, Manila, and inspected the facilities and equipment in the hospital. This after several complaints against hospitals in the city reached his attention. Mayor Isko talked to some patients and the hospital staff, who for him are dedicated in providing healthcare service to people. Through this visit, the mayor wants to emphasize the citizens can still access government services, especially basic services, even during the wee hours.
Thank you for your service.
The Manila City Chief Executive also returned to the streets of Ermita, Quiapo, and Tondo, which he has recently asked to be cleaned and cleared from obstructions. He was glad to find that these areas have already been cleared of garbage and illegal structures. He was also happy to see the now well-lit Cliwasang Bonifacio after implementing cleanliness and orderliness measures in the area. But the joy turned to disappointment after seeing piles of garbage along Carriedo Street and nearby roads in Quiapo, Manila.
O, sino may gawa ng basura? Ayan o, anak ng naman o. Eh paano, sa pati sa gitna ng kalye? Basura, bendo.
He also ordered the removal of illegally parked trucks in Tondo, Manila.
Tayo dyan. Kaya lang ugali ng itong mga truck driver. Tingnan po rin yun. Dalawang lane. Sila lang lahat. Sila lang ang gustong mabuhay.
As he made rounds, the city mayor listed problems and concerns which need immediate resolve. Mayor Isko concluded the inspection at about 3 in the morning. Asher Kadapan Jr., UNTV News and Rescue, Manila City.
Welcome back to iNews. We pick up to where Alex Baltazar left off. I am William Theo, and here are the headlines. The House of Representatives begins referring some of President Duterte's priority bills to prospective committees. The Office of the Solicitor General asserts legal authority in assisting law enforcers in line with the sedition raps filed against Vice President Robredo and 34 others. And Philippine sports leaders call for unity as SEA Games draw near. Meanwhile, the lower house of Congress refers some of the Duterte administration's priority bills to the respective House committees. House Speaker Alan Peter Cayetano wants to start the hearing of the bills filed in and referred to as a chamber as soon as possible. Grace Casin tells us why.
On the second and third days of the 18th Congress, more than 1,000 bills were referred to the different committees in the House of Representatives. This includes some bills President Rodrigo Duterte mentioned during his fourth State of the Nation address on Monday, like the reimposition of the death penalty, the Mandatory Reserve Officers Training Corps or ROTC, the postponement of the Barangay and Sangguniang Kabataan elections, and the bill creating the Department of Overseas Filipino Workers.
Creation ng Departamento ng OFW at Foreign Employment. Ang co-author ko dyan ay walang iba kundi si Congressman Paulo Pulong Duterte, Deputy Speaker natin ngayon.
Minority Leader Benny Abante in his statement supports the reimposition of the death penalty, but some of his colleagues in the minority disagree, while the Makabayan congressmen plan to block the passage of the said bill.
So ang mangyayari lang talaga pag binalik yung death penalty na yan, ay pagtutuloy-tuloy lang yan ng policy ng Duterte administration na kill. No? At ang tatamaan niyan ay ang ating mga mahihirap pa rin na mga kababayan.
Meanwhile, Cabinet Secretary Carlo Nograles had earlier said the Department of Budget and Management plans to submit the 2020 proposed national budget to the House of Representatives in the second week of August. Speaker Cayetano on his part said they plan to start the hearing on the bills filed and referred as soon as possible.
We hope next week makasimula na tayo ng mga committee hearings, but that really depends kung gaano kabilis ang aming pagka-organize.
Grace Casin, UNTV News and Rescue, House of Representatives.
President Rodrigo Duterte is set to sign the tobacco excise tax bill within the week from 35 pesos to 45 pesos per pack in the first year of its implementation. The Department of Finance or DOF said the bill will lapse into law on July 27 if not signed or vetoed. The bill will increase the tobacco excise tax from 2020 to 2023.
I was told it will be signed this week. Because that is a priority measure, certified urgent by the President in the previous Congress and mentioned by the President in the SONA.
The Commission on Elections report they have not yet found overspending among candidates in the 2019 elections based on their statement of contributions and expenditures. Aiko Miguel will tell us why.
The Commission on Elections Campaign Finance Office or CFO has identified who among the elected candidates are considered as top spenders. The top 6 include Senator Bongo, Senator Francis Tolentino, Senator Grace Poe, Senator Sonny Angara, Senator Cynthia Villar, and Senator Amy Marcos. Among the elected senators, Senator Lito Lapid has the least expenses but paid a fine of 10,000 pesos because he did not meet the deadline of SOSE submission.
Usually, based on our experience, within 6 months nakaka-file na kami ng lahat ng mga kaso ng overspending against those candidates that overspend. Mga December, ma-file na namin lahat.
According to CFO Director Attorney Efraim Bagid, they still have to scrutinize all the documents filed by the candidates in the 2019 midterm elections.
Under sa SOSE, the candidates are required to submit all the expenses that they spent under our regulations and under the laws, yung mga broadcasting, halimbawa yung mga media, yung social media, they are required to submit independently.
A candidate without a political party can spend only up to 185.5 million pesos, while a candidate without a political party can spend only up to 309.2 million pesos. Based on COMELEC scrutiny, no candidates have been found exceeding the expenditure limit set by the law. COMELEC clarified it is not a part of their jurisdiction to monitor the expenses of an elected officer when it comes to their advertisement as a way to thank their supporters and those who voted for them.
It's really up na doon sa kandidato kung how he will spend doon sa natanggap niyang unexpended na contributions.
Of the 62 official senatorial candidates, only 43 have submitted their SOSE. COMELEC assuredly will not let any overspending pass to show they are transparent in implementing the rules on spending limit. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
The city government of Manila has been receiving various complaints from its citizens since they have launched its virtual complaint desk. Manila Mayor Isko Moreno says these include garbage, cutting trips, and illegal vendors. April Senedosa tells us why.
Complaints from Manila City residents are received directly by the Office of the Mayor for review. On July 7, the city government of Manila launched an online complaint desk to accommodate various complaints of Manileños. The virtual complaint desk is now part of the Manila Public Information Office, or MPIO, headed by MPIO Chief Julius Leonen. Mayor Isko Moreno assures they will protect the identity of the complainants. He will also order an investigation before taking action.
Hindi, piprint lang naman yun. Tapos itatabi namin yung mga pangalan nila, iingatan namin yung kanilang mga pagkakakilanlan, tapos pinasisiyasat ko bago namin aaksyonan. Hindi mo mapipili yung mga nag-i-email or mga nagsisend ng complaint. So inaatado lang yun. Chine-check natin bawat isa.
This initiative aims to encourage Manileños to report illegal activities happening in the city and to get them engaged in the city government's programs.
Basura talaga sa kakaguluhan. Mga cutting trip, vendor na nahirapan sila, sabi nila, every mo, naglalakad lang po ako, nasagi ko lang po yung vendor. Yung vendor pa ho galit sa akin. Imagine mo yung matanda, yun ang nare-reklamo. That's unfair to them.
The public is hoping the present administration will also look into poverty and the condition of senior citizens in the city. They also want the government of the country's capital to be consistent in their action and programs.
Ang pagbabago lang diyan, dapat ang mabigyan ng priority yung mga senior citizen katulad ko.
Dapat kuhan yung mga magandang layunin, kabayan, ganun, kalinisan. So dati maraming nakikita dyan, marami kalat-kalat, ganun. Ngayon medyo malinis-linis ng konti.
Yung pag-aalis sa mga vendors dito, okay lang yun.
Tulong sa mga mahihirap. Bibigay ng pagkain sa mga mahihirap na walang-wala, ganun.
To file a complaint, create a Google account, and this form must be answered completely. April Senedosa, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
The Office of the Solicitor General underscores that it serves the PNP CIDG as its client in the filing of charges before the Department of Justice in relation to Project Sodoma, which tags opposition members in an alleged coup plot against the president. Mai Bermudez will tell us why.
The Office of the Solicitor General, or OSG, has confirmed its participation in the filing of charges at the Department of Justice against members of the opposition. The OSG, in a statement, defends as the principal lawyer of the Philippine National Police Criminal Investigation and Detection Group, or PNP-CIDG, one of its duties is to serve its clients and give legal advice. And though it cannot tackle the specifics of the case, the government's lawyer underscored that it is helping PNP-CIDG and not Bicoy. Meanwhile, PNP Chief Oscar Albayalde insists that there is nothing wrong with the investigators seeking advice with government lawyers about the case.
It's but normal for us to seek legal advice and comments, no? Especially so from OSG. Kung yung ngang sa mga private lawyers nanghihingi kami, what more dito sa OSG, being it as the counsel of all government agencies and instrumentalities of the country, no? Dito sa ating gobyerno. It's but normal and nothing irregular there, no? Yung extent is I really can't say because sila nga ang nag-usap, yung legal ng CIDG at saka yung legal ng OSG.
Malacanang sees nothing wrong with the Solicitor General's assistance to the Philippine National Police in relation to the sedition complaints filed against Vice President Leni Robredo and other opposition members. This is despite the insistence of the palace that the Duterte administration has nothing to do with the case.
But, you know, the SOLGEN is the lawyer of the Republic of the Philippines, and all its clients are all offices and agencies of the government. Now, it is mandated under the law to counsel, to give lawyering activities to any of the offices when its office is consulted. To talk with SOLGEN earlier, and he said that PNP sought its advice on the matter. So the draft was sent to them for review. That was their only participation.
Nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with that because it's the duty of the SOLGEN on a lawyer-client relationship.
Mai Bermudez, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
Welcome back to Y News. Malacanang hosts a meeting with various sports agencies almost 2 months before the Philippines host the 30th Southeast Asian or SEA Games. Rosalie Cos will tell us why.
A call for unity meeting was held in Malacanang this morning, which involved officials of the Philippine SEA Games Organizing Committee or PHISGOC, Philippine Sports Commission or PSC, and the Philippine Olympics Committee or POC to resolve issues and differences. Malacanang ensures President Rodrigo Duterte fully supports the country's hosting of the 30th SEA Games.
This meeting is called within the walls of Malacanang Palace to show that President Duterte is giving his 100% support to the country's hosting of the 30th Southeast Asian Games.
The Executive Secretary added, reports that say President Duterte is unaware of the memorandum circular he released to direct government agencies to support PHISGOC are untrue. He also challenged the President's critics.
Hinahamon ko yung mga may ingay, magpakita kayo ng tinulong ninyo para sa sports at sa mamayang Pilipino.
PHISGOC, which remains as the organizing committee of the SEA Games in the country, is surrounded by controversies including allegations of corruption. According to House Speaker Alan Peter Cayetano, the former chief of the PHISGOC, if the allegations are true, the people behind corruption activities in PHISGOC should be held accountable. PHISGOC was created to spearhead the preparations for the Philippines' hosting of the SEA Games and generate funds from the private sector.
If it's true that there is corruption, let's put people behind bars. But you know, if it's politicizing the event, it affects all of us. The world is looking at us.
Meanwhile, Senator Bongo says the PSC is responsible for the disbursement of budget for the SEA Games hosting. He also assured he is on guard with the spending of the budget and ready to take action on any complaint of corruption.
Kaya nga sabi ni Pangulong Duterte na make sure po na maayos yung procurement, malinis at wala pong piso na masasayang. Lalong-lalo na po pera po ito ng gobyerno, pera po ito ng tao.
Senator Go added PHISGOC should be accountable for the funds generated from the private sector for the SEA Games that will run from November 30 to December 11, 2019. This is the fourth time the Philippines will host the SEA Games. Manila hosted the SEA Games in 1981, 1991, and 2005. Rosa Licoz, UNTV News and Rescue, Malacanang.
And for the news abroad, here's Stephanie C. reporting live from Hong Kong. Stephanie, good evening.
Good evening, William.
Russia carried out what it said was its first long-range joint air patrol in the Asia-Pacific region with China, a mission that triggered hundreds of warning shots from South Korean jets and a strong protest from Japan. Kath de Maraos will tell us why.
The flight by 2 Russian Tu-95 strategic bombers and 2 Chinese H-6 bombers, backed up by a Russian A-50 early warning plane and its Chinese counterpart, a KJ-2000, marks a notable ramping up of military cooperation between Beijing and Moscow. The operation will concern leaders from Washington to Tokyo and could complicate relations and raise tension in a region that has for years been overshadowed by hostility between the United States and North Korea. While troops and naval ships from Russia and China have taken part in joint war games before, they have not, according to Russia's Ministry of Defense, conducted such air patrols in the Asia-Pacific region together until Tuesday.
Today in the morning, long-range aviation of the Russian military carried out the first joint patrol of the Asia-Pacific airspace together with the Chinese aviation. The flight was carried out in accordance with the plan of international military cooperation for the Russian military in 2019. It is not targeted against other countries.
Seoul and Tokyo, who both scrambled jets to intercept the planes, accused Russia and China of violating their airspaces, an allegation Moscow and Beijing denied. South Korean warplanes fired hundreds of warning shots towards the Russian A-50 military aircraft, defense officials in Seoul said, saying it was the first time a Russian military aircraft had violated South Korean airspace. Moscow denied all of those assertions.
So the actions of South Korean crews must be regarded as air hooliganism. I would like to draw special attention to the fact that the information of the reported warning fire on the part of South Korean jets is not true. If the Russian pilots define such a threat for themselves, an immediate and adequate answer would follow.
In Washington, the Pentagon said it supported South Korea and Japan's responses. Kat Dumaraos, UNTV News and Rescue.
U.S. President Donald Trump threatened to retaliate against Guatemala for not signing an immigration deal. He said his administration was considering imposing tariffs on Guatemalan exports or taxing money sent home by migrants. Beverly Saison will tell us why.
U.S. President Trump unleashed a far-ranging attack on trade policies Tuesday in an address to the Turning Point USA Teen Student Action Summit. Trump praised the U.S. economy and criticized a series of trade deals made by his predecessors. Trump said he is considering a ban, tariffs, and remittances fees after Guatemala decided not to ink a safe third country agreement that would have required the poor Central American country to take in more asylum seekers.
They were all set to sign a safe third agreement, and then today or yesterday they announced they can't do it because they got a Supreme Court ruling. Their Supreme Court, right? They got to, in other words, they didn't want to sign it back. So we're going to do either tariffs, or we're going to do a form of tax, or we're going to use our ban. You know, people don't realize we won the ban.
In response, Guatemala's President Jimmy Morales has filed an appeal against a court ruling blocking a deal to reduce the number of asylum seekers reaching the U.S. border. It was not immediately clear when the appeal would be considered. Morales blamed the country's top court and political opponents for undermining his close ties to the United States. Guatemala, as well as its southern neighbors, El Salvador and Honduras, have all been struggling to curb the flow of people leaving for the United States. The Trump administration has been seeking to curb migration from Central America by introducing new rules over who can claim asylum in the U.S. The measures unveiled last week say migrants who fail to apply for asylum in a country they passed through en route to the U.S. will be ineligible. Migrants who have been trafficked will be exempt from the ban. Beverly Saison, UNTV News and Rescue, USA.
The U.S. Senate on Tuesday confirmed Army Secretary Mark Esper to be Secretary of Defense, ending the longest period by far that the Pentagon has been without a permanent top official. The Senate backed Esper, a former soldier and lobbyist for weapons maker Raytheon Co., to be President Donald Trump's second confirmed leader of the Pentagon by 90-8. Esper 55 received strong bipartisan support despite some sharp questioning during his confirmation hearing by 2020 presidential hopeful. Democratic Senator Elizabeth Warren about his ties to Raytheon and his refusal to extend an ethics commitment he signed in 2017 to avoid decisions involving the company. Boris Johnson is expected to face 3 immediate challenges: Brexit, economic recovery, and relations with the U.S. as he begins the process of forming his government after he succeeds Theresa May as the new UK Prime Minister. Jovic Burmas explains why.
Newly elected British Prime Minister Boris Johnson assumes the task of steering Britain through the stormy waters of Brexit on Tuesday, with his pledge to bring Britain out of the bloc by October 31st. He voiced his confidence on being able to remove Britain from the EU by the scheduled date in his final Conservative Party leadership debate with Jeremy Hunt, his former opponent for party leadership, on July 17th. Johnson has insisted that EU leaders will offer him a better deal. However, it is hard to see how this will come true, said Tony Travers, the director of the Institute of Public Affairs at the London School of Economics and Political Science.
Clearly, Boris Johnson will have to go and talk to Brussels, to the EU 27, but also, I suspect, to the most powerful leaders of the bigger countries within the EU, France and Germany in particular, try to get them to accept that he's serious, that he either wants a better deal or there'll be no deal. Now, quite how that plays out, very hard to guess at the moment. And anyway, the UK is still in Europe. It'll want a close relationship on security and trade and other matters with the EU looking ahead. But he's got this hard commitment to leave the EU by the 31st of October. And against that backdrop, I guess he'll be looking for some slight movement on the EU's part that he can claim is a big change, and then hope he can sell that to the UK Parliament.
Travers said that the pending Brexit has led to a great deal of instability in the British economy. Britain's economy is having a hard time recently, with its economic growth last year dropping to 1.4%, the slowest in 6 years. The Office for Budget Responsibility, the country's fiscal watchdog, has warned that the British economy is now facing a possible full-blown recession.
There's no question that the UK economy has gradually slowed down, may almost be on the edge of a recession now. And I think that will mean that Boris Johnson as Prime Minister and the Chancellor he appoints will probably want to try to boost the economy by tax cuts, possibly by higher public spending, and that means, of course, effectively conceding higher borrowing, and that's, I think, almost inevitable now. So they'll want to try to give the economy a boost in the short term, but of course also they've got to prepare for the possibility of a no-deal Brexit, so they'll also be thinking about how that would play out if that came on top of the existing slowdown.
Thirdly, the British relationship with the United States is not as good as before, and Johnson has to improve the bilateral ties, Travers said. British Prime Minister Theresa May and US President Donald Trump wanted an ambitious trade agreement after Brexit. However, Trump's emphasis on the strategy of America First has all but dashed these hopes. Furthermore, the resignation of former British Ambassador to the United States Kim Darroch due to a scandal with leaked diplomatic cables that contained unvarnished assessments of the US administration also made relations much worse. Jovic Burmas, UNTV News and Rescue, London, United Kingdom.
The U.S. Justice Department has announced an investigation into leading online platforms, examining whether they are unfairly restricting competition. The DOJ did not name any firms, but companies such as Facebook, Google, Amazon, and Apple are likely to be scrutinized in the wide-ranging probe. It was sparked by widespread concerns about search, social media, and some retail services online, the DOJ said. It marks the latest scrutiny of tech firms' power over the U.S. economy. And those are the news from the other parts of the globe. Back to you, William.
Thank you very much, Stephanie C., reporting live from Hong Kong. The Asian Para Table Tennis Championships kicked off yesterday, July 23, at Providence University in central Taiwan's Taichung City, marking the nation's first time hosting the biennial contest. Organized by Taiwan's Paralympic Committee, the 5-day tournament will see a total of 174 male and 103 female athletes from various Asian countries. The competition, which runs until July 27th, is a qualifying event for the 2020 Tokyo Paralympics, according to the organizers. Farmers in a province in Spain are turning to lavender to give its struggling economy a purple boost. Here's Nina Armilio to tell us why.
About 100 kilometers from Madrid, in the province of Guadalajara, lavender fields are increasingly replacing cereal as the crop of choice due to their higher profit margin, and have put the agricultural region on the map as a tourist destination when the plant stained the countryside purple in July. Juan Jose Lope, manager of the family-run Alcaria Flora Lavender Company with over 50 years of history, says that lavender is experiencing a boom in the region.
Pues ha sido en los últimos años, pues ha habido un boom.
In the past few years, there has been a boom in these plants. The first thing we must remind people is that the crop is attractive for the farmer, and therefore its cultivation has increased. With increased cultivation, tourism plays an important part because people come, walk through the fields, take pictures, and generate wealth for the area.
In the last 10 years, lavender production has increased five-fold in Castile and La Mancha, where Guadalajara province is located. As it becomes more attractive to farmers, there are more lavender farms, which in turn attract tourists and generate income for the locals in the summer months, he said. Lavender provides a profit margin 3 to 4 times greater than cereals, Lopez said. With an acre of lavender, depending on the harvest, selling for 325 to 485 euros an acre compared to 120 to 200 euros an acre for cereals. The crop is used in the perfume, cosmetic, and food industries, as well as in toiletries and aromatherapy. For those who come to see the fields in bloom, though, lavender provides a spectacle with its different shades of purple and an equivocal scent.
Es maravillosa. Es que es un olor. It is wonderful. The smell, nature, and also the color, the sunset, the air, the hum of the bees. It's beautiful.
Nina Armilio, UNTV, News and Rescue.
And those are the reasons behind the news just July 24, 2019. On behalf of Alex Baltazar, I am William Theo, and before we close, we will recap with today's significant sound bites. Because we need to know, we will always ask why. Good evening.
I talked with Solgen earlier, and he said that PNP sought its advice on the matter. So the draft was sent to them for review. That was their only participation.
Nothing wrong with that?
There's nothing wrong with that because it's the duty of the Solgen on a lawyer-client relationship.
It's the one we've been waiting for, the guidelines that will set the way for the implementation of bus terminal closures on EDSA. Kasi we cannot close it without any alternative. So ito na yun.
Dito sa mga digital platform nito, dito matutugunan yung sinabi ni President na we should be able to transact our business with them without those members or employers, pensioner coming to the office physically.
Hinahamon ko yung mga maiingay, magpakita kayo ng tinulong ninyo para sa sports at sa mamayang Pilipinas.